Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Inside Track, Equibase's weekly handicapping podcast, where we give our analysis, picks, and wagers for a couple of the weekend's top races. I'm your host, Ben Kudla, and today I welcome back the host of the Doubling Down podcast, Colin Sheehan, on the show to give his thoughts on the Whitney weekend as we dive into some Grade 1 action at the Spa. Follow Colin on X at CSheehan45 and check out that Doubling Down podcast, a fantastic show. Some big name handicappers who have joined in the past. And now, along with YouTube, the Doubling Down podcast is now available on Nessa Nation, available on Roku and Plex. Colin, the people want to know where and when can they watch Doubling Down, and give us a little rundown of what the podcast is all about.
Yeah, we're so excited. Me and Vinny's now our constant co-host, Vinny Blonde, who started the show with me a couple of years ago now. We've gone up over 100 episodes. We do a daily double every weekend for the big Saturday races. We're so glad to be now on Nessa Nation. It's a fast channel, so it's free TV that you can find. And usually we air Friday and Saturday mornings. So we're just super excited about that. And because of that, we've launched a new app where you can come and play against us. You can put in what you think the daily double is going to be. We have my personal Race Lens past performances available for the viewers in those two races. So it can give you a little sense of how you can customize some things, or at least the way I have them customized in your past performances. We all love Race Lens, of course, here at Equibase. So you can check that out, and you get in the app. It's free to sign up, and we give away prizes every month. We have free picks from the formula for Travers Week. That's the prize right now. There's only one person that has hit the last three daily doubles. The last three daily doubles we've had have been pretty tricky to get around, except for the journalism one, and that only paid $3. So we didn't have anybody shoot up the leaderboard. You can check that out at doublingdown.glide.page. Or if you watch the show over on Trust the Profits, you can scan the QR code we have up during the show. Come play against us. It's a great time. It's a great way to interact with fans for free, right? We're not charging anybody. And if people are new to horse racing and they want to try to throw in and learn a daily double, we have the recesses there as we continue to build out our show Doubling Down, which we're really happy about. We have a new logo, some new merchandise. We're making it a real show here, Ben.
I love that. What a great idea with the app. That is so cool. And again, all the Doubling Down links will all be in the video description down below. So, Colin, always great to have you back on the show. I'm so jealous you're going to be at Saratoga for Whitney weekend. And I know it's one of your favorite weekends. But going back to last weekend, what a great weekend of racing it was, coast to coast. Colin's sovereignty reigned supreme yet again over a very game by Aza in second, who was 9 1/4 lengths clear of third place finisher Hill Road. Nisos, wow, what a performance in that Grade 2 San Diego handicap for his second consecutive graded stakes win since his 1.5-year layoff. Lovesick Blues, 7-year-old gelding bred in California with a huge upset in that Grade 1 Bing Crosby Stakes at 18-1 for his first ever graded stakes victory, punching his ticket. The Grade 1 Breeders' Cup Sprint. Formidable Man is able to find the winner's circle once again on Sunday. It is perfect 5 for 5, Del Mar, in his career. And a great weekend it was, but now it's finally time for Whitney weekend, featuring 4 Grade 1s at the Spa. So before we begin, the Race to NHC is a series of free handicapping contests for active Raceland subscribers and continues this Saturday on horseplayers.com. The top 2 finishers in each weekly contest will make it to the Raceland's Final 50 contest in February. The top 2 finishers in the Raceland's Final 50 will earn a seat to NHC 2026, as well as a travel voucher and 4-night stay at Horseshoe Casino in Vegas. Sign up and play today at equibase.com. And we do have cool little video that we put together for you. So let's watch that. Oh, excuse me there. It is a great way to get involved with NHC, and contests are so much fun. I love doing contests, especially, this one's free, but you put $20 in one and you get to play all day. So, it is a great way to get to NHC 2026 if you are a Raceland subscriber. So please check that out. More details at equibase.com/NHC. But Colin, we have so many stakes races to get through. So let's get rolling. Let's just start off the bat. The Grade 1 4-Star Stakes, race 8 on Saturday's card at Saratoga. 1 mile on the inner turf for 4-year-olds and up. Last year's winner was Carl Spackler for trainer Chad Brown with Tyler Daffleone aboard. Fantastic field of 10 in here, including Johannes, making his first start since his win in the Grade 2 San Gabriel back in December, opening day at Santa Anita. He's got a morning line of 5-2 in here. Colin, is he on your ticket?
That's a big decision to make right there, right, with Johannes. And I decided to leave him off my ticket, surprisingly, maybe for some. Tim Yakteen, by far, this is his best horse, one that's really made his barn. Can he do it outside of California, though? A lot of that success has come, or all of that success has come at Santa Anita and Del Mar. Did have that victory coming over in the 5th place finish when he ran at Churchill Downs. So now he's coming off this long layoff. He's shipping out to Saratoga to try and break that outside of Cali and get that win. He's formidable, the speed figures, especially looking at Equibase, what you have there, 118, 115, 122, 119. I mean, you're going to get a consistent, honest effort from this horse, but are you going to get it on a 180-plus day layoff? Shipping across country is the question mark. And at 5-2, I think you have some opportunities here to maybe go elsewhere. So for me, I'm going to leave Johannes off. How about yourself?
I put him in third, but, honestly, for the same reasons that you did, I just couldn't put him on top. He's shipping into Saratoga. Like you said, the only time he's been out of Cali was at Churchill there in the Grade 2 American Turf and finished 5th. And that's a tough test to go into this Grade 1 after a long, long layoff. So for those reasons as well, same as you, I put him in third, though. I mean, he's a very talented horse, but I went with Deterministic on top, and I know you have some things to say about that as well.
I decided to do the same. I agree with you. I love this horse. There's 2 horses in here that kind of continue to pop up. It's Laganos. If you watch over on Trust the Profits, I'm a huge fan of, and I did not put Laganos on my ticket here. So clearly showing I don't have that bias where you just pick the horses that you fell in love with over the years. But Deterministic is one that I've fallen in love with. But I think also here, this race might set up well for him. There is some speed to his inside. I think the 1, 2, 5 are going to go as well. But the thing I like about Deterministic is, yes, the last 3 races, you'll see all those ones, but he has some races in the past, especially last year, where he comes from off the pace, right? That race at Colonial back on September 7th, 2024 is a race that I kind of highlighted. Same thing with the Hill Prince at Aqueduct race, where he was 4th first call, then 3rd, and closed nicely for the win there. And then last time he goes out in the Manhattan and wins a Grade 1 up at Saratoga. It's a 1.1 miles. They're cutting back in a mile, which I think is advantageous to this horse. And I like the fact that is just kind of staying in the New York area, running up at Saratoga when you compare it to what I just said about Johannes. So Deterministic is the horse I'm going to put on top. Kendrick Caramouche, a jockey that I just absolutely love. Can't wait to see him this weekend. He's one of the nicest jockeys. Always stops to say hello and give you a picture. So cheering for Kendrick, who I think does a great job of what he's done with Deterministic in the last 2 races, putting him on the front end and being aggressive. In here, it might be a tactic he reconsiders, like I said, with that speed on the inside. But I'm going to go Deterministic on top.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I see you got the Spirit of St. Louis in there. So you and I must have been talking, but what are you thinking about this horse?
Yeah, this is kind of that horse that is, I guess I'll talk about that bias, because he's one that me and Vinny have talked about going all the way back to that race in October where we followed him through the Pegasus. And then we kind of considered that old Forester Bourbon Turf Classic at Churchill Downs to be a key race. Mercante, remember, came out of that and won next time out. I think the cut back to the mile is just what Spirit of St. Louis needs. 3 for 4 at this distance. These last couple of races have been at 1.1 miles. The last one was that Grade 1 Manhattan that we just talked about with Deterministic. I'm hoping that this cutback in distance is right up the alley for Spirit of St. Louis for Chad Brown. So we'll go with Spirit of St. Louis he's got a little bit of a every other pattern. He's also coming in off an 8-week layoff. But maybe that rest is what he needed to kind of bounce back from that sixth place finish where he was 6 wide on Belmont up at Saratoga weekend.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing about that horse. So it was on Derby Day. I was in the middle between the turf course and the dirt course trying to get some content for Equibase. So I got to watch it just feet in front of me, and the way that horse just came on the outside and powered home, it was just so impressive. I mean, I'm surprised by his late pace rating of only a 101, to be honest. You know how hard he finishes races, but I guess that that gives credence to the level of talent in this race. And you also had Think Big on there. I do love the Stidham Barn. Started my career, or second trainer I worked for. But what are your thoughts on him? I didn't have him on anything.
Yeah, Think Big. I thought, I went back and watched the Kelso race. That was his first time, not his first time, but his first time recently, at least first time on the turf, stretching out to the mile. He's been running in the 5.5 sprints and has had some success there with Ben Curtis. Luis Saez is aboard here for Think Big. And I just thought that last time, 6-1 is what's attractive to me. So what if he likes the distance, going a mile, and you get him at a nice price here? He beat Intellect, who I know Vinny on our show is high on Intellect. I think that'll probably be his top pick for Saturday. But Think Big, I'm hoping that this second time back, whenever I see, Godolphin bred and owned, they know what they're doing. They're not just throwing the horse in here for nothing. So Think Big is a little bit of a shot for me. I actually had him second. And Think Big will be there. And then I was between the 7 and 2. I know we talked about the Spirit of St. Louis, but I really was high on My Boy Prince, and I wanted to add this ticket at a price. When it ultimately came down to it, I ended up using Spirit of St. Louis because of kind of those figures that we talked about. But don't sleep on My Boy Prince, where Jose Ortiz jumps aboard. I thought that was an interesting move for him. The horse has been competitive in Grade 1 and Grade 2s. Has some 3 races in a row with triple-digit speed figures. Of course, they're up at Woodbine. Some of his success at the 7 furlongs and a mile and 1/8 was up at Woodbine on the synthetic. He might be a sneaky little horse to finish out your tries and supers. The number 2, My Boy Prince, from Mark Cassie.
That was definitely an interesting move with Jose Ortiz going aboard there, who actually was aboard your Think Big last time out. So, which is interesting.
Yeah, and that was actually kind of why that's the first thing I saw when I was like, My Boy Prince might be a nice price here to use. But I think Luis Saez is perfectly capable in this spot. And I'm just thinking that if the horse takes to that mile distance again on the turf, nice 6-1, he might fall right in that range of a horse you like to include with the price, especially when you have a horse like Johannes and you have a horse like Deterministic. This one might sneak under the radar, and the price might be right.
Oh, I love it. Well, there's Colin's picks for you. Deterministic on top of Think Big, on top of Spirit of St. Louis. I went pretty similar here. I went with Deterministic, very talented 4-year-old Liam's Map Colt, making a second start from Miguel Clement Barn, previously trained by the late, great Christophe Clement. Like you said, Kendrick Carmouche been aboard for his last 2 starts and wins. This horse is interesting. He started his career on dirt, right? And he actually won the Grade 3 Gotham in his second career start. And then first time on turf last June, he runs second in that Grade 3 Kelso to Neat, the number 10 in here. Last August, he runs his first race over the Saratoga turf, finishing 3rd by a length and a half on that Grade 1 Saratoga Derby Invitational. After that, he gets his first win on the turf Grade 3 Virginia Derby last September. And then honestly, pretty much since then, been unstoppable. After that Virginia Derby, comes back to run second by just 3/4 of a length in that Grade 3 Jockey Club Derby, and then wins the Grade 3 the Hill Prince Stakes at Aqueduct in November, goes back to the dirt that was taken off the turf, finishes second, so you can cross that off. In May, he just runs off, drawing clear by 4.5 lengths in that Grade 2 Fort Marcy Stakes, going gate to wire at a mile and 1/8, earning a 110. And last time out, he goes gate to wire again in that mile and 1/8 on the turf, winning that Manhattan and Saratoga over Integration and Farbridge, who we just saw dominate the Grade 2 Bowling Green Stakes by 3 lengths on July 12th. And 120 equal base speed figure for that. And he's able to win on the front end, like you said, going 9 furlongs. Might be a little bit more pressed for the lead in here. But so far at this meeting, 8 furlong races on the turf at Saratoga, 10 of 31, so 32% of race leaders after a half mile hold on to win. So his running style honestly could really help him in here. And Miguel Clement winning left and right. He's had 3 wins from his last 7 starts at Saratoga. He's winning at 35% in turf races at Saratoga all time. So this horse has been working amazing as well. It's another thing I wanted to mention. Posting 2 bullets since winning that Manhattan. Ranked second in here in a late pace rating. And he's only ranked second to Johannes, 113. I thought 9-2 would be a gift on this horse. And I also like Spirit of St. Louis quite a bit. The highest lifetime earnings in this race of $1.8 million for Chad Brown. Manny Franco gets the mount coming off that tough 6th place finish in the Manhattan, that deterministic, like we said, won. But you throw out that race, I mean, I think this horse would definitely be less than 6-1 morning line. He won that Grade 1 Turf Classic at Churchill Derby Day. Like I was saying, prior to that, he finished 4th just by a length and 3/4 in the Grade 2 Munez. But that was his first start since his major effort in the Grade 1 Pegasus World Cup, and rallying late, eating up the track with every stride. Very talented, very fast. Ranked second in here by average speed and class. Seems to be in the pattern, like you said. And if he goes with that run well, run okay, run well, run okay, he's due. So back to his preferred distance, 5 for 6 this mile. And Franco and Brown have been hot. They've won 4 of their last starts together, 7 in the money. And then obviously Johannes. I mean, I'm just honestly more excited just to watch this as a horse racing fan than a betting perspective just for Johannes. But gosh, how could you do this? I mean, look at that. Ever since April 4th last year, it's just been on a tear. That's a nice horse. That's a nice horse, but we'll see. He's got so much to overcome, though, So, but anyway, let's just move right along. We've got so many races to go over. So Grade 1 Saratoga Derby Invitational, race 9 on Saturday's card. 1 3/16 on the dirt for 3-year-olds. Last year's winner was Carson Run for the late great Christophe Clement. Dylan Davis aboard. European breds won this race 4 out of the last 6 editions of the Saratoga Derby. Couple of horses in here making their first start in North America. Colin, are any of them on your ticket?
I wanted to leave them off, and I ended up with them on top. I think the number 7, Hot as Hell, as I looked through it, you do a little bit of that game of who's the horse raced against. And when you see Field of Gold, who's arguably one of the top horses in the world, finishing a couple lengths behind that horse, O'Bunsman, a couple of these horses that went off to Royal Ascot and really performed well. I also love the fact that the jockey Shane Foley's making the trip over for this. I think that's telling of what they think in the chances are here as well. The winner, I believe, gets a shot opportunity to run in the Cox Plate. So there's obviously some interest. It's not just coming over for the trip to go to Saratoga. There's a carrot at the end of the tunnel there for this horse. And, first time through, I did my best to move around the 7-5. But I just couldn't find interest in some of these other horses. Tistastic, horse that you recognize from the Derby Trail, who had been running on the dirt, has tried turf. I think they're trying back because of the success he had at Kentucky Downs when last time out went to turf at Churchill and finished 5th in a stakes race. Final Gambit, horse that was successful over the synthetic. Brad Cox brings Final Gambit in here after his run, a 5th place finish behind a few of the other horses that are in here, such as Test Score and the number 9 World Beater. As I was going through them, there was just nothing that jumped off the pages at me to be able to say that I'm going to beat a horse such as Hot as Hell, who's been racing against some really, really stiff competition. And these horses coming over on the turf, going this distance, to me, you always have to take them seriously. And then that jockey move really kind of sealed the deal for me as far as putting the number 7 on top.
No, I can't argue, especially with that jockey angle. Shane Foley coming all the way here. No knocks on your play at all. It's just that, first time he goes more than a mile. He runs 5th, weekend in the final furlong, the last 2 races. So, I mean, this 1 3/16, we'll see. But I thought, maybe I could try to find a little bit more value elsewhere. for the 7, but definitely no knock. I mean, and that field of goal did run today in the at Goodwood at Sussex, I think it's called, against Carl Spack. I think he ran 3rd. I could be wrong, but anyway, no knock. I went a little different route. I went with the 9 World Beater in here. I thought just a horse would be crazy undervalued at that 10-1 morning line. Oscar Performance Colt, the Raleigh Mott Barn with Jamie Torres aboard the morning line of 10-1. Like I said, just a steadily improving colt. Consecutive increasing equibase speed figures at every start of his life. A 52 to a 69 to an 87 to a 91 to a 95 to a 105 and 106 last time out. Also started his career on dirt. It was not about it. Finished 9th in both of his career starts over that surface. Runs for the first time on grass at Gulfstream back in February. Made special weight going 7.5 furlongs. Finishes 3rd by a length. Takes a month and a half off layoff. Comes back to run 2nd and made special weight at Keeneland going a mile 16th on the turf. And a month later, he finally breaks his maiden going a mile and 1/8 on the turf in the maiden special at Churchill in May. Takes a 3-week rest, comes back to win the listed Audubon Stakes at Churchill by a neck. Thrilling finish over King of Ashes. And last time out, he takes a huge step up to run in the Grade 1 Belmont Derby Invitational. Runs a very nice 2nd behind Test Score, the favorite in here. And after the Belmont Derby, they took him back to Kentucky, where he's been training at Keeneland and prep for this race. Ranks 2nd in here in late pace rating of a 106. He's running in here after 3 weeks, just exactly how he won the Audubon. So I don't know, 10-1. I thought that was a deal, but I know he's on your ticket as well.
He is, and I just did a quick Google search because you were right. Field of Gold did lose to 151 shot today. So Curette. Yeah, that's a big upset over there. And maybe now my pick is not as sexy as I thought it was when I went through last night and looked at the past performances. So thanks for ruining that on me.
Oh.
But I agree with you on World Beater, Oscar Performance, baby, increasing speed figures. And for me, it was, if you like the 5 Test Score at 7-2, how can you not like the 9 World Beater? I mean, he's only was competitive in that race, Belmont Derby Invitational, only losing by a length and a quarter on that day. So for me, I kind of play that game of, well, if you're going to give me Test Score 7-2, I will absolutely enjoy taking World Beater at 10-1. So I definitely included this horse on my ticket as well.
I could see those horses going 1-2 again, honestly. But World Beater, I mean, those improving numbers, just getting better with every start. It was just such a head turner for me. I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, unfortunately, though, you get that with Test Score as well. I mean,
exactly.
As we say on my show, increasing speed figures with a 3-year-old, there's something to pay attention to, and that's exactly what you have here for Grand Motion. Horse could just continue to be getting better. Finished 2nd to Zulu Kingdom, 2 back at Churchill, then comes back and wins that Belmont Derby Invitational. I wanted to keep this horse on my ticket as well, so I ended up 7-9-5 here for the Derby Invitational.
I love it. Yeah, no, Test Score looks really tough in here. I did pick him in that Belmont Derby Invitational, so for all you inside track fans, I hope you hit that one. And also Grand Motion. The past year, he's winning at 37% in turf routes with horses who won their last start. 19 wins for 52 starts, 58% in the money with a positive 8% ROI. But one thing, all right, I was kind of just reading about this horse, kind of looking on Google. So I was reading on the Pollock report, and Motion said this really wasn't even the goal for this horse, but he figured he's already up there. He's already won. It just kind of makes sense for him to run. But this is the shortest layoff this horse will have, has ever had. So I don't know. It's just one angle, that they really didn't exactly want this race. No knock on Test Score. He looks the best in here, but I don't know. Just something that kind of turned me off a little bit.
Me too.
One horse. Okay. Yeah. One horse I did want to talk about is this 2, 20-1 morning line. Really interesting Wooten Bassett colt. Last race in Germany. So you look at that last race, that Group 3. So you can actually see Equibase speed figures for European races. He's earned a 107 for that. But Ellis Starr, who is sitting next to the Equibase office, he showed me this replay of that race in Germany last time out. And he was probably halfway through the race, about 10 lengths ahead. They all caught up to him. She gets kind of shuffled back to fourth and then prevails to come on strongly. It was just a wicked end of that race. So I wanted to throw him in there for 20-1, honestly, just based solely off of that. So there's Colin's picks, the 7, 9, 5, and I'll be going with the 9, 5, 2. So let's move on. The Grade 1 Test Stakes, race 10 on Saturday's card, 7 furlongs on the dirt, 3-year-old fillies. Last year's winner was Ways and Means for trainer Chad Brown with Flavian Pratt aboard. Field of 8 fillies. I loved handicapping this one, but I'm excited to hear your thoughts in here, Colin.
It's a great day of racing. Friday is even really hard. I think you can, as you go through all these races, you start to struggle to figure out where you're going to go. And I've done a lot of that work since I'm going up this weekend. And as I started to go through Saturday and you challenged me with the stakes here, I think right now Ragtime, number 1, is actually the horse I'm most excited about, of course, across the 2 days I've looked at so far. And that's saying a lot. Usually I have, 4 or 5 that jump out to me. I'm like, okay, these are the horses I'm going to build my ticket around. And I have had a really hard time finding that Friday and Saturday as we went through the early races. There's a lot of great 2-year-old races, which are always hard to try and handicap because you don't have a lot of that past performances data to go off of. And we got to the test, and when I asked my co-host Vinny, should we start with the Whitney or end with the Whitney, because I didn't know what his thoughts would be on Echo Sound, the number 6 here, who's your 9-5 favorite for Rusty Arnold with Louis Saez aboard, a horse that is 5 for 6 coming off of a big effort last time in the victory ride. And Vinny said, the test always surprises with the price. And he thinks that maybe there's going to be a price in here this weekend. And so I said, okay, I'll dig through and see what I can find. And I really like these types of horses in these spots against a horse like Echo Sound at 9-5. You don't know what the ceiling is for Ragtime. I thought that performance last out was very impressive. That was on July 5th. I love the fact that they're bringing him back within the month. To me, that's evidence that maybe this horse is not done peaking. It worries you that he goes maiden special weight to allowance right into the graded stakes, but Belmont does that with horses he's confident in. And I love that Junior Alvarado is still aboard. He's doing it for breeder owner Godolphin. So there was a lot of signs here where I just thought that maybe this is the horse. Honestly, Vinny and I were texting just before we started this. This might be a single for me in some of those. When I try to put my tickets together, trying to take an opinion, there'll be some discussions with us over the course of the next 2 days. But right now, this is one where, Vinny wants to signal fierceness. I think I might want to single Ragtime to give myself some other options as we start to talk towards the Whitney, which we'll get to in a little bit. Ragtime for me on top, and maybe one of my best plays for the weekend. We'll see.
I love that late pace figure of a 117.5. You see that on the right-hand side. But yeah, with all these good horses in here running graded stakes, and this filly's got the top ranked late pace figure. No knock on that at all. What do you think about this horse going off Lasix though for the first time?
Not as concerned for me. It's not something I dial into too much when I go through my handicapping. I mean, what jumped off the page for me is this dam. Look at this dam's lifetime dirt sprints, 38 starts, 11 wins, 29% win percentage, plus 95% ROI, average win of $6.60. That was something that absolutely popped on me. Also, this horse beat 4-year-olds last time out. So, it's 3-year-olds. Sometimes you expect like a race like this, it's all 3-year-olds. Well, when you go back and look, and I saw 3-year-olds and up, I looked into that July 5th race, and there's a couple 4-year-olds in there, 4-year-old fillies. So to me, that's another kind of a sign that I think this horse hasn't peaked yet, and may peak on Saturday in the test.
No knocks. That's actually the only horse you and I agree on for our top threes. But you're 4, or actually no, we also agree kind of on the 6. But what's with Cash Call? What are you thinking there? I had my head scratched on this one coming off that win in that Summertime Oaks, but I just didn't know if she had enough experience in here, not coming out of Cali.
Yeah, this was a replay play for me. I went back and watched that last race for Cash Call and was racing against the stablemate in the stretch. I just really loved the tenacity that this horse showed, really dug in to get that victory on that day. Couple some speed figures. You go 79, 77, 79, 91, takes another nice jump up and goes 102, 101. Coming back within the month, Bob Baffert, you get Pratt aboard. Another dam who's had some success going from routes to sprints, has had 9 starts out of 5 horses with 4 wins doing that move, 44% win percentage. I know Baffert hasn't had as much success up at Saratoga recent years as he's shipped some horses up. This Daughter of McKinsey, I thought fit in pretty well here, and at 5-1, like I said, it was really a replay. I watched some replays. I don't get to them all. We have other full-time, at least I have another full-time job, Ben. I don't get to watch every single replay. But sometimes you circle in to see a horse like this. Okay, Baffert's shipping. He hasn't been great up here. Let's watch this horse's replays to see what we see. And that's the first thing that popped out to me. I'd go back and watch that June 7th race in the stretch. This horse showed to me what I like to see when I'm watching a replay. So we'll include Cash Call as my second pick.
Definitely a speedy filly.
And Bob's recently this year, his fillies have been the standouts.
Yeah, you are right.
You know.
Well, and then also, I mean, Bob Baffert, Flavian Pratt. Look at that at the bottom of your screen. In graded stakes, winning at 37% in the past 3 years. 60 wins from 43 starts. It's pretty dang good sample size, you know. But well, there's Colin going singling ragtime on top of Cash Call and Echo Sound. We're a little different here. I decided to go for a little bit of a price, 8-1 with Look Forward, Boltiora filly, from Michael McCarthy with Umberto Rispoli aboard. They've that duo has found a lot of success together over the past 3 years. They're winning at 29% in graded stakes races together, 13 wins, 45 starts, 56% in the money. And over the past year, they're winning at 30%. All races together, 31 wins from 105 starts. So Look Forward. She started her career for the late, great Ben Cecil barn, breaking her maiden on career debut, which is very rare for Ben Cecil as well, going 6 furlongs on the dirt at Del Mar. Switched to the McCarthy barn, ran second in that grade 2 Starlet Stakes in December, going a mile 16th on the dirt at Los Al. To Tenma, who won the grade 3 Loss for Hennis by 6.5 lengths in her next start. Goes back in a dirt sprint, wins that Santa Ynez Stakes by head over Artisma, the 7 in here. Has a couple of very bad starts at Oaklawn and Keeneland, finishing 7th in the grade 3 Honeybee and 6th in the grade 1 Ashland. Both those races were a mile 16th on the dirt. Again, goes back to a 7 furlong dirt sprint, wins the grade 2 8 Bell Stakes at Churchill, earning a career best 96 Echo Bay speed figure. Then runs second last time out on a sloppy Saratoga track, going a mile and 1/8 on the dirt to Lacara. However, Look Forward was second over Scottish Lassie, who just saw dominate that grade 1 CCA Oaks by 15.5 lengths in her next start. I think she's finally going back to a 7 furlong dirt sprint. I think this is just right in her wheelhouse. Her only losses were going 2 turns. She's 3 for 3 in 1-turn races and 2 for 2 at the 7 furlong distance. Ranked first in average class in here, first in early and middle pace. She can win going wire to wire and stopping off the pace. Really nice bullet work on July 26th. Del Mar going 5 furlongs and 58.6. 1 of 74 that day at Del Mar. I thought 8-1 would be a huge gift.
Yeah, this is a nice filly. I think you have a nice choice here. What Racelands does for me is highlight races that are equal or more when it comes to a purse. So the last 4 races are highlighted for Look Forward for me. That jumps out at me. And then I immediately look at that class rating that you just talked about. So not only is she number 1 in the whole field, she's got 104, 102, 102 in her last 3 races, Ben, and that really kind of stands out when you go through and look at some of the other horses. Now, Echo Sound, that last race, the Victory Ride, was a class rating of a 101. You wonder if Echo Sound can repeat that big effort, but the other horses are mid-90s when you're looking at class, and that would be when I talked about ragtime, not knowing what that ceiling is, 183 to 90 when it comes to class, this is a big class jump, and that would be the concern I have. So when you're looking at, I consider that a class drop, and not only that, but the horse did it at Keeneland, Churchill, Saratoga, so it's not like this horse was just running in California where, I talked about maybe that's a concern for number 4 Cash Call. You have some proven entity here with Look Forward, who's come over and has had some success. So I think that's a great pick, and probably faulting me for at least not including this one in my top 3. So I can't blame you for using Look Forward.
Well, the best part about this podcast, we have 2 days until Saturday. So
I can change my mind.
I also like Echo Sound quite a bit. Done nothing wrong. Career 5 or 6 lifetime with a second. Coming off 2 consecutive grade 3 wins. That 108 last time out. Saiz and Rusty, pretty nice win percentage together over the last 3 years. They're winning at 27% in all races, 26 wins from 98 starts. She's yet to run at the 7 furlong distance, but I guess that 6.5 definitely was not a problem last time out. But she's just, I don't know, only has wins at this grade 3 level. And you look at horses like Look Forward, it's just, I don't know. I think just the class could really be it for this test stakes. Really be the test for Echo Sound.
I like it.
But I also
included her on my ticket. That last effort was very impressive. I wrote down the exact same concerns you had. Is 7 furlongs, is sort of want 7 furlongs when you have some others that have proven it? Mm-hmm. And was that last race, can she repeat that? We'll see.
We'll see. But no, I love your ragtime, and I love when people single. So there it is, Colin single on ragtime over Cash Call over Echo Sound. I'm going with Look Forward over Echo Sound over ragtime. Now, here we go. I'm excited. Last but not least, Grade 1 Whitney Stakes, 11th race on Saturday with a 5:41 p.m. Eastern post time, 1 1/8 on the dirt, 4-year-olds and up. Some amazing horses have won this race in the past. Lemon Drop Kid, Medaglia d'Oro, Invisor, Lawyer Ron, my personal favorite, Frosted, Gunrunner, Mackenzie, and the list goes on. Last year's winner was Arthur's Ride, odds of 6-1 for Belmont Jr. Alvarado. I did actually go through and count up all of the winning Equibase speed figures in here. All right, what do you think the average winning Equibase speed figure is in the Whitney?
The Whitney itself over the last 5 years, you'd say?
Since 1991.
Oh, you went way back.
I went way back. I did a whole spreadsheet.
I'm gonna say 119.
Woo, you're close. You know your stuff. A 121.
Okay. Yeah.
But I guess that makes sense, with these really nice older horses coming in midsummer. But the timing of the calendar, usually you're going to need a big effort in the Whitney in order to get that one home. And a lot of them are training up for getting their spot into the Breeders' Cup. This is when you're in for the Breeders' Cup Classic, and it's the right timing of, where calendar turns to August and they got their eyes on November. You start spacing out those races. So I know that the Whitney has produced some big numbers for the winners. No, and I think whoever wins on Saturday is also going to have to prove themselves. Just absolutely amazing field of 10. All these horses have a combined $28 million in lifetime earnings. That's just nuts. But the world wants to know, who are you picking on top for the Whitney?
So I have not, I've kicked myself with Fierceness ever since the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, when it was a horse I really liked and I just fell in love with Locked. And when he won 16-1, I like, that's one of those moments as your handicapping career that stands out as man, I screwed that one up. So then you kind of go all in on Fierceness coming back in the Holy Bull, and he had some trouble in that race and finishes 3rd. And then I'm like, okay, he's not as good as he thought we were, so we'll jump off of him. In the Florida Derby, that he beats me. Then you're trying to decide what to do in the Derby, and finishes 15th. So this is a horse I have just been not on the right side of history with Fierceness. And 2 back in the Ali Sheba was one of those days I was against. And my co-host Vinny has kind of been right on with what Fierceness is going to do, and is at the right time of deciding when to use Fierceness and when not. And so when I handicapped and he texted me and said, Fierceness is our single Saturday, it immediately gave me pause. Someone that I know has handicapped Fierceness really, really strongly over his career. I'm not a Sierra Leone fan. I know this horse shows up every time. 11 for 11 in the money. I've been against him every single time, and so I've been more right than wrong with Sierra Leone. She doesn't like to win races. So when I saw 2-1, not for me. And as I continued to go through it, I don't want to say Fierceness completely stood out to me, but I landed on Fierceness on top.
No, how could you not? I mean, that horse just it's so cool though. We have Fierceness, the Eclipse World Champion 2-year-old colt versus Serial and the Champion 3-year-old colt. I mean, I'm just so excited for this race. Yeah, no knocks on Fierceness. I have him in second, but no, I agree with you 100%. But I want to hear your thoughts on White Abarrio, because that's who I landed on. But we'll start with you here.
My notes were exactly, what do I do with White Abarrio? Very similar to Fierceness. White Abarrio is kind of in that similar camp. And I was at the Whitney a couple years ago when he had that eye-popping performance over Cody's Wish, breaking many people's hearts on that day, especially for those of us that were at the track. It's a day we won't forget, mostly for bad reasons. But White Abarrio winning over Cody's Wish was one that stood out. And some of the performances that you've seen from White Abarrio have been pretty eye-popping, including that victory in the Pegasus World Cup in January, comes back to Ghost Zapper, then does the Met Mile, finishing fourth. And what stood out to me, Ben, was this path is exactly what he did when he won the Whitney.
Yeah, exactly. I had that written down too.
It was Gulfstream. It was Met Mile. That year he finished third. This year he finishes fourth. Comes back on Whitney weekend and wins with a 122. So you said, what's the number? 121. Well, that was the year that White Abarrio went 122. Irad obviously stays aboard. I ended up using White Abarrio in my second place. So I'm on the side of, let's use the horse here. You know, I think Fierceness is going to get a nice trip. He's going to be able to just sit outside, which we know Fierceness, if there's a knock on Fierceness, Vinny and I went through and looked at the past performance, because people thought, like, if he doesn't get his way, then he falters. Well, we kind of found excuses for all those races where maybe it wasn't necessarily that, but I think he can get a clean trip out there. And, you know, White Abarrio's to the inside of him. He can just kind of sit off and track. And it's going to be a fun stretch run. You know, you have those two neck and neck, and then Sierra Leone bounding down on them. And then what do you do with Mindframe on the inside, who you probably figure is going to go? That's where that horse has had success. And there's not a horse named Dornock in here. So that's the only trouble Mindframe has had, and is when Dornock is racing against him. So another one that was intriguing to use. I didn't use Mindframe because I wanted to give you a little bit of a price on the show here and not go chalk, chalk, chalk. And I thought the number 3 Highland Falls actually might be a little bit of an interesting price in here for Brad Cox and Luis Saez. You're getting 8-1. This is going to be second off the layoff for this horse, sired by Curlin. And I'm realizing now that on their show, I've picked a lot of the Godolphin bred and owned horses. But if there's a year to do that, Ben, I think this is the year. I mean,
I think it's every year. What is it? 7 years in a row they won the Outstanding Owner Award.
That's true. That's true. But if them winning big races this year has certainly been up there. This horse certainly has a little bit of an every other pattern. You wonder, you know, the class is actually 2 out of 10. But when you see allowance optional claimers, the last race that Highland Falls wins, you immediately are kind of peaked. But that was first off the layoff in 2025 for the horse's 5-year-old season. I think at 8-1, this might be a horse that's maybe sitting in front of Sierra Leone, behind Fierceness, White Abarrio. Maybe it gets hot up front, and this horse can maybe not close for the win, but maybe catch up for second or third.
No, I mean, it's 100% the money at this distance. 1-for-1 at Saratoga. And Brad Cox, you know, how could you know, it was almost always going to finish in the money. But no, I love taking that 3-1, or I mean 8-1 on the 3 Highland Falls. But yeah, as I said before, I am going to go White Abarrio. Wasn't my original choice first look at this race, but landed on the 2023 Whitney Stakes winner, Safi Joseph and Irad. You know, 2023 Whitney seems like forever ago, but for White Abarrio, that was only 9 starts back. You know, and he had that same similar progression, losing the Met Mile, going to the Whitney, romping, you know, same thing here. Who knows? You know, and then he went on to win the Breeders' Cup Classic. So, and then after the Breeders' Cup Classic, he ships overseas to run the Saudi Cup, finishing 10th. Came back to the States to run the Met Mile, finished 5th. And then he goes back to Safi, which I loved, who he started his career with. And then he takes a 5-month layoff, comes back in November last year to absolutely dominate that allowance optional claimer at Gulfstream, which they kind of wrote for him, but he did dominate by 10.5 lengths, earning a 106. And I was reading on Blood Horse. Safi's like, that was like a grade 1 for us because we just wanted to see that horse come back and know what he could do and to push him a little bit. And he comes right back to run in that grade 3 Mr. Prospector. Had a very slow start, finished second by a length and a quarter. A month later, he runs in that grade 1 Pegasus World Cup, put on quite the performance, drawing clear by 6 1/4 lengths, going a mile and 1/8 at Gulfstream. Overlocked, who we saw put on that huge performance out there at Santa Anita. Takes a 2-month layoff to again dominate, winning the grade 3 Ghost Sapper Stakes by 5 1/4 lengths. And the last time out, he finishes 4th in the Met Mile to Raging Torrent and Fiercest and just a touch. But that was a sloppy track. He was way wide in that final turn. And like you said, he's got that pattern of a loss. Whitney, or in the Met Mile going to the Whitney, back at his 1 1/8 distance. In his last 2 career starts going this distance, he won the grade 1 Whitney and grade 1 Pegasus World Cup by a combined 12.5 lengths. So 4-1, I mean, everybody's going to be hammering Fierceness and Sierra Leone. I do really like Mind Frame, but apparently he's going to scratch. And I guess that's why Pletcher put Jose Gomez. And I also believe Skippy Longstocking is expected to scratch as well. So that's why I kind of didn't add Mind Framed in there. But everything, like you said, Fierceness, I got him in second. I mean, horses for courses as well. 3 wins from 4 seconds, the second place at Saratoga, with his only loss coming in that second last time out. Set the track record at Churchill on Oaks Day, mile of 16th and 140.66. Running a 117, so definitely got to add him in. And Sierra Leone, that's a tough horse. He's always just right there, like you said, 11 for 11 in the money with 10 of those 11 starts, all in grade 1 or grade 2 races. His last win though came in that Breeders' Cup Classic. Is yet to win back. He made his first start as 4-year-old campaign in that grade 2 New Orleans Classic at Fairgrounds. Finished a disappointing 3rd, but he still earned a 112 and comes back to run his second race of the year, finishing second in that grade 1 Stephen Foster to Mind Frame, earning a career best 117 for second place effort. I don't know. I'm expecting him to run well. I can't put him to win. Even if he is ranked first in average speed of 109, second in early pace, first in middle, and second in late pace rating. But also Flavian Pratho and Chad Brown, they're just ridiculous at Saratoga. Over the past 3 years, they're winning at 36% in graded stakes races together at the spot. 16 wins from 45 starts, 68% of the money. No knocks in Sierra Leone, and beat me in the Classic, that's for sure. But I just have a feeling about White Abarrio. So I'm going White Abarrio Fierceness over Sierra Leone, and Colin is going with Fierceness, White Abarrio over Highland Falls. So, Colin, thank you so much for being on. And everyone, please check out the Doubling Down podcast. You will not be disappointed, I promise. It's a very cool show, very interactive with the app. I just love that. So check that out, Doubling Down on YouTube, and follow Colin on X at CSheehan45. Thank you, everybody, so much for watching. Good luck in your wagers this weekend, and we'll see you next week.